and there is a part of me that I like to kind of keep that stuff in. It's not good. Right now I'm letting everything out. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hey everyone, I'm Leighann. If you don't know me, welcome to my channel. If it's your first time, I'm happy to have you here. Welcome back if you are already subscribed. I appreciate you guys coming back. Today, we're talking about PCOS. It's definitely something very different for my channel. I have talked about PCOS in the past. There was like a big life update video I did about a year and a half ago-ish, and I kind of like loop that in with a bunch of different things, but mainly I've talked about it on my vlog channel. I have another channel, it's Leighann Vlogs. I do weekly vlogs, and I've talked about all this stuff like in bits and pieces here and there within a bunch of vlogs, so you'd have to really be like a loyal watcher to really pick up all these different pieces along the way to see my whole story, and I haven't even really told my whole story, even in bits and pieces. So in this video, I'm gonna be telling you all about my situation. I'm gonna explain what PCOS is, what polycystic ovary syndrome is. If you don't know, I'll give you a brief summary. All of my history, like everything leading up to here, everything leading up to my diagnosis, how I figured out I had it, what all the doctors told me along the way, all of the little DIY experiments I've done along the way, everything I've done to try to figure out my situation, try to see where I'm at, if I have any chances of fertility in the future. And I'm also going to tell you about where I'm at now, the new fertility doctor that I found here in Dallas, how all of that's going. I've gotten a lot of tests done, so tell you all the results of those tests and what is the plan going forward. What is the prognosis? You know what I mean? I really hope this video is helpful for you guys. If you have PCOS, if you're seeking out more information, or if you know someone that has it, I'm just telling my story, telling my experience, because PCOS is something that affects people in really different ways. There's a lot of different symptoms, and I am just one case, but this is my experience, and I really hope it's helpful for you guys. If it is, if you enjoy this video, if you appreciate the information, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. This is not what I normally do, but maybe you like what I normally do. Maybe you like what I normally do on my vlog channel. I don't know. I need to get started because I got a lot of notes. So jumping right in, what is PCOS? I'm gonna tell you a little secret first. I'm not a doctor, so please don't expect me to be. But in a brief summary, a small explanation, it is a hormone imbalance. It has to do with how your body processes blood sugar. It has to do with your levels of androgens and progesterone, and it really affects so many different things in your body. And like I said, the symptoms can be different for everyone. Some of the most common symptoms are irregular periods or missing periods, also obesity, acne, hair loss or hair growth in areas where you normally wouldn't expect it, really heavy periods, difficulty getting pregnant, also pelvic pain, and the associated conditions. By the way, I got this explanation from like a combination of Wikipedia and WebMD. You're welcome. The associated conditions are type 2 diabetes, obesity, obstructive sleep apnea, heart disease, mood disorders, and endometriosis cancer. I also read that PCOS can come from environmental factors, but it's also genetic, and mine is genetic. It runs in my family, and so that's why, you know, I figured out that I had it basically. There are three main things that doctors are looking for when they think it might be PCOS. You don't have to have all three to get the diagnosis, but they're the main things they're looking for. Irregular periods or lack of ovulation, high levels of androgen, and also cysts in the ovaries. That's a little bit of a confusing point because it has to do with the follicles and how the egg is being released or not being released, and you don't necessarily have to have lots of cysts to have PCOS, which is kind of confusing because that's the name, but it is what it is. Right now, there is no cure for PCOS, but there are a lot of treatment options for managing the symptoms because, like I said, there are a lot of different symptoms that people deal with, and it can be a lot. There is tons of information you can look at and read about PCOS and learn more about it, but that is just my very brief summary. Moving on to my diagnosis. So my entire life, since forever, since I could remember, since I got my period, I always had very irregular cycles. I would skip multiple months and not have a period. And honestly, a lot of doctors looked at me and they're like, oh, well, you're really thin. I've always been on the thinner side, and that's what doctors would attribute it to. They'd say, oh, well, you just need to grow up, gain a little weight, fill out a bit, and everything will normalize. And they didn't really look at it thinking PCOS because I don't look like the typical PCOS patient, because a lot of the common symptoms are struggling with your weight and acne and hair loss and all of that stuff. And I don't have those symptoms. So for many years, I was just kind of happy that I didn't have to deal with having a period all the time. And I know that probably sounds absolutely crazy for people that understand how life works and that a period is a part of being healthy and it needs to happen. I just liked not having a period and I was on and off the pill since I was probably about 18 or 19, and I was always coming off of it because I had really bad side effects, mainly just like my mood. I would feel really off. In my worst times, I would feel super depressed and anxious. In other times with other brands, I would just feel off and I would always end up coming off of it. And I tried a lot of them over time. Once I heard about PCOS and I learned that it does run in my family, and I learned more about it and about, hey, this could be the reason for my irregular periods, I talked to my family doctor about it and she was like, you know, you might have a point. Because just looking at me, she wouldn't think PCOS unless I said it runs in my family, because I don't have all those very classic symptoms of PCOS. She didn't really do any tests there, but she did, you know, start saying you really need to be on the pill, because that's what almost every single doctor, if not every single doctor, will tell you when you have PCOS, because the pill will help you not normalize things, because the pill is not normal, but it will help you shed that lining regularly when you're not shedding it regularly, which helps you prevent endometrial cancer, because if it's growing, it could result in cancer. That is a very simplified explanation. That's what I've heard. You need to do more research about that, but obviously that's really scary. You know, once the doctor brings the C word into the room, you're like, oh, well, I was just enjoying my life, not having periods very much, but yikes, I'm listening. So, you know, I kind of put that in the back of my head. I think I might have gone back on the pill and then come off again. And at one point, I think in 2016, I'd gotten off the pill and I had actually a regular cycle for about 6 months. And I was like, oh my gosh, have all my troubles just magically resolved? But I think it was just the pill kind of got my body working and it kind of was just on a roll basically, but eventually it stopped, and it stopped for over a year. I was worried about it, but it was kind of just something that I kept in the back of my head. And I wasn't, you know, thinking about having babies. So it kind of wasn't important to me. And then it all came to a head in October of, I think, 2017. I actually have a vlog from that weekend. I went to Joshua Tree for a music festival and I had the worst period of my entire life. I was in horrible pain, and a lot of people were like, this is endometriosis. And I just so badly don't want to have endometriosis, which I know a lot of people have that, and it's not the end of the world if you have it. But I was really scared about that. I talked about it in the video, but I did not even come close to scraping the surface of how bad it really was, because I just wanted it to be over. So after that, I was feeling very motivated to find a new doctor and get to the bottom of this PCOS situation, because I did not want my reality to become that. So I saw a few different doctors, and I also talked to a doctor, or a retired doctor that was a friend. And of course, like every time before, they all told me, you've got to be on the pill. You've got to get your body in like a protective situation. You need to protect yourself from possible cancer in the future. You've got to protect your chances of fertility in the future. There were just a lot of good points that they made, of course, and obviously they're doctors. They know a lot of things that I don't know. So despite all the situations I had in the past, all of the bad side effects I had in the past, I went back on the pill. And I was on the pill for about 3 to 4 months, and it was bad. I think it was the worst side effects that I've ever had on the pill ever before. I felt like I was depressed. I felt so anxious. Grant and I were engaged, but we were long distance at the time. And honestly, like, I'm so sad to say this, but it really affected our relationship. It sounds so stupid if you've never been in this situation, but it affects you so deeply. It's not like you have a choice to be different. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to explain it, but I'm sure from the outside looking in, you just be like, oh, well, just don't be upset. But this, literally being on the pill, it made me a sad person. I've been having a whole bunch of like really bad symptoms, but I'm really trying to give it a chance, and I want to cry right now probably because of birth control. I've cried so much more lately. And and it's just awful and I don't know what to do and I feel like I'm backed into a corner. I couldn't deal with it and I was just at my wit's end. I did talk about it on my vlog channel, not a ton. I might have talked about it a ton. I don't remember, but there's definitely plenty of videos where I was like, I'm quitting the pill, I'm going crazy, but probably not as in-depth as it should have been, just because I don't know, for some reason there is a part of me that I like to kind of keep that stuff in. It's not good. Right now I'm letting everything out. Hopefully you're enjoying it. So around that time, I found a new doctor, a doctor that focuses on fertility and PCOS, and I wanted to get tests done. I wanted to talk about the situation. I wanted to get off the pill so bad. And he did a million tests on me, a million tests that had never been done before to actually confirm you do have PCOS. It's not just, oh, it runs in my family and I don't have periods and done deal, stamp on the chart, you have PCOS. It was just actually tests that prove it. Actually having an ultrasound that looks at my ovaries and says, yep, you have it. Finally, a doctor that really listens. And it was just so frustrating to go to so many doctors for so long that are just like, oh, you're just really thin and that's why you don't have periods, and like not looking more into it. And I understand doctors are people and they have to go by like, you know, the general population. They can't like go into every little thing, but it was a very frustrating situation to keep going to doctors and have them not listen to you or have them pushing you in a direction that you know would be detrimental to your life. And that doctor really listened and he really understood why I didn't want to be on the pill. And he talked me through the fact that I didn't have to be on the pill. It was not my only option. There are different things that you can take to kind of induce a cycle that will help you avoid building up the lining and putting yourself at risk for cancer. And that could totally be an option for me. He wrote a prescription for that. He also listened to all the things that I'd been researching online, all the things that I wanted to try, and he explained more about them. He knew all about everything. It was just so refreshing to get a doctor that really listened and was really so helpful and really felt like he was on my team. So I just feel so happy that I found him. I feel like I've been really lucky with doctors since then, or I only have one other doctor after that, but I have been lucky. More on that in a little bit. But getting off the pill was amazing. It was life-changing. Grant even said, once I got off the pill, he was like, it's like you were a different person. And that's absolutely true. I don't want to give you medical advice, but I'm just saying, if you have side effects, if you feel yourself getting actually depressed and feeling anxious and feeling overwhelmed to a point that you can't handle, you've got to listen to yourself, and you can't just let every single doctor tell you what you need to do. I'm not saying to go against doctors, but be an advocate for yourself. I'm gonna leave it at that because I feel like I'm being bossy, but now I need to tell you about all the things I've done at home along the way to kind of test myself, try to figure out my situation, try to better my situation, all the things that I read about online, because if you've done any research on PCOS, you probably read about a lot of those things, and I've tried basically all of them, and I'll let you know how it's worked out for me. The first thing that I tried, even before I got off the pill, I'm pretty sure, was a low carb diet. If you do any PCOS research at all, you will find so many success stories talking about low carb diets or the keto diet if you want to go extreme low carb. And I tried going low carb. I didn't go full keto, but I was really cautious going into it because I don't really have a lot of weight to lose. I don't want to lose weight. So I was really trying to focus on keeping my weight, but also going low carb. And I stuck with the whole low carb thing for I think maybe 3 months, but definitely 2 months. And I started to lose weight. I didn't want to lose the weight. I talked to that doctor about it. And based on the tests that he had done for me, he said, you know, you don't really need to be throwing yourself into this low carb diet, losing weight you don't want to be losing, feeling like a lack of energy. He just said, hey, this isn't really necessary. There are different things that you can do to try to manage the blood sugar stuff without throwing yourself full on into low carb or keto. The other thing that I started even before I got off the pill during that time was Ovasitol. You probably read about it. You probably heard mixed reviews. So this is an inositol supplement. It's got a 40-to-1 inositol blend. There are papers about this. I've talked about this on my vlog channel. I linked the paper that Grant showed me. I will try to find that again and link it down below. I ordered this from Amazon and it's kind of pricey for what it is. You get 99 of these little packets, and it's a supplement that you mix into water or whatever you're drinking. It doesn't taste like anything. So it doesn't really matter what you put it into. I just put it into water in the morning and at night, and that's all I do. It's not a vitamin, but I think of it as a vitamin. Inositol is actually something that naturally occurs in your body, but I guess I need more of it because I have had amazing success with this. I never dreamed it would work so well. I am so happy about this. This is one of the things that that doctor was like, yes, that's absolutely worth a try. And I'm so glad I did try it and I stuck with it. But this is something that a lot of people with PCOS, people that are trying to conceive out there, they talk about this stuff a lot. And this is just my experience with it. Do what you gotta do. But I did have a really, really good experience with Inositol. I've been taking it for over a year now. And like I said, I started it before I got off the pill. And since I got off the pill, I've had regular periods. The most regular periods that I've had in my life. It is crazy. The way it works, I cannot explain to you. But like I said, I will link that paper. Hopefully you got a little time to read it and explore that. But my understanding of it, which is not scientific at all, it triggers something in your brain, the part of your brain that talks to your ovaries, and it gets everything going. It flips the switch and it tells it it's go time, time to ovulate, time to have a period. And miraculously, I have had a period for over a year now. I am so happy I have one now, and I literally think this is the reason. Because really, I haven't changed anything else. I got off the pill. I haven't been taking the progesterone to make myself have a cycle like I anticipated I was going to have to. The only thing I changed was starting to take this. So I totally feel like I'm being salesy. I'm not being salesy. It's just that's what works for me. Okay, moving on. The next thing that I started doing about last September or October, so I've been doing it for I think about 7 months so far, is charting. This is a basal body thermometer, and charting is really simple, but it's also got a lot of rules. And I'm not gonna explain every single thing about charting right now, but basically you take your temperature every morning right after you wake up before you do anything at the same time every morning, and you record those temperatures. And my thermometer actually hooks up to an app on my phone, so it sends the information right over and it charts your cycles. And there is a natural rise and fall and flow to your cycles that is healthy. There's a way that it's supposed to go. And if something is off, you can tell by looking at your temperatures and comparing your cycles. I love the app that comes with this. I love this thermometer. It's so easy to use. It is kind of a pain to chart because you have to be so regimented about doing it every morning. But once I committed to doing it, I just did it. I got this from Amazon. It's actually really inexpensive. I'll link it down below if you're curious about it. I like it. I definitely wouldn't say it's something that you have to do, but it's just more information, and more information when you're in a situation that is very out of your hands can make you feel a lot more empowered, which that's just how I feel about it. And that's why I've stuck with it for so long. It can help you look back and see when you've ovulated or if you've ovulated, how long the different phases of your cycle have been. It can tell you a lot, and I think that's helpful. So again, you don't have to do it, but I have really liked doing it. Okay, moving on. The last thing that I've done, and I've really only done this for the last 2 cycles, is use ovulation predictor kits. And this is the cutest one that I found on Amazon. If you don't know anything about OPKs, basically it's just a little test strip that comes in a little foil wrapper. It's just like what you'd think it is. It tests your pee to see if you're ovulating. It's actually really, really simple. It shows you on the box, and these are actually really cheap. Like I said, I got these from Amazon. There are a bunch of different varieties out there you can explore, but this kit came with 50 LH tests and 20 HCG tests, which are pregnancy tests, but they're just cheapy little ones. They're cheaper than the ones that you can get at CVS. I've done this for the past 2 months just to see when I'm ovulating and if I'm ovulating. So all of these things come together to say, girl, you can do this. The egg is coming. It's only been 2 months, but these have just been really cool for me to use because honestly, I just wasn't sure if I was ovulating. And this is like for sure test results you can look at, compare day by day. Am I ovulating? Am I not? It's just helpful to have more information. Those are all the experiments that I've done at home so far. I'm open to doing more. Moving on, where am I at right now with my PCOS? what's going on with the fertility doctor. I'm at a new stage in my life. This is a new chapter. I'm married now. We moved to Dallas. So obviously I can't go to that fertility doctor that I had in Houston. So I've moved on to a new one and I got really, really lucky. She is so nice. She's so compassionate. She's so informative. I actually went today, earlier this morning, and Grant came with me for the first time. I've seen her about 3 or 4 times so far, but this is the first time that Grant's come and he got to meet her and we got to all come together and talk about all the tests that I've done so far. All the tests that we've done so far have come back positive or in good standing. Everything looks like it's in good condition, which is great news. The only thing that came back questionable, and I've talked about this on my vlog channel and also on my Instagram story. Oddly, I'm not rubella immune. And at first I was like, well, what is rubella? Well, it's an old thing that people don't get anymore because we have the MMR vaccine. By the way, vaccinate your children, just saying, in case you didn't know. I definitely got all my vaccines when I was a kid, but apparently your immunity can just wear off over time. And that's what happened to me. And it's an important one to have if you're planning to get pregnant or if you are pregnant, because if you come into contact with rubella and you're not immune, it can actually cause birth defects. So it's an important one. I got the vaccine and you basically just are not supposed to try to get pregnant for a month, and we weren't necessarily like in a rush to get pregnant, so that's totally okay. I got the vaccine, and other than that, everything looked good. I also got the HSG test, which is I will have to look at my notes to tell you the exact word for this because it's a strange word. It's the hysterosalpingogram. Basically, you just get an injection of dye and it goes into your fallopian tubes and you get an x-ray and they look to see if there's anything blocking your fallopian tubes and just seeing the shape of your uterus and if everything is flowing through nicely. And it looks like both of my tubes are clear. It flows through easily through both of my tubes. The right side is looking great, apparently. When I look at those pictures, it means very little to me, but she did walk me through it and show me everything along the way. On the left side, however, there is a collection of dye at the end of the tube, and she doesn't know what has caused this. It could possibly be scar tissue caused by endometriosis. I mean, I haven't been diagnosed with that, but it is a possibility. But unless she goes in and I have surgery, she can't tell for certain what is causing that. So going forward, she said the best way to, I guess, optimize our situation or optimize ovulation or optimize our chances of having a baby one day, I would need to focus on the right side just because that looks like the healthiest side. So whenever I'm ovulating an egg from the right side, that's my best chance of not having an ectopic pregnancy. And then also we could do IUI. I really don't feel super confident talking about what an IUI is just because I haven't been through it. But basically she said I would take a drug called Femera for 5 days and then there would be an insemination and it just increases your chances of getting pregnant. So that's also an option. Okay, I know this video has been really long and it's been very deep. It's told you a lot about me, probably more than I ever needed to tell you. But if you're going through PCOS, if you are struggling with that, I know how hard it can be. And I know it's actually really common. And probably a lot of you guys watching have it or know somebody that has it. Right now, I'm feeling really confident. And there have definitely been times when I did not feel confident at all. I felt like I didn't have a lot of options. I felt like I was really struggling and no one was listening to me. And I've been wanting to do this video for so long and I'm finally feeling like I'm kind of in a good place to actually talk about it. So I hope this was helpful for you guys in some way. If you guys have more questions, definitely let me know in the comments. If you want me to make other videos about this or maybe update in the future, let me know if you want to see that. Just, I know how hard the PCOS thing can be. And so if you're in it with me, just know I'm in it with you. I just don't want you guys to feel alone because I've had times when I felt very alone with it. And if you're feeling down because, you know, having a baby, having a period, having a predictable cycle is supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be natural. It's supposed to just be something that just happens to you. It doesn't always. It doesn't a lot for a lot of people. And if you needed to hear that right now, I am happy to tell you, because my situation has been struggle, always. And so I just want to say, like, I'm here for you as much as I can be. I don't know how to end this video because it's definitely an ongoing story. You know, we have to figure out what we're going to do in the future. We're not rushing to have a baby right now. I really, really wanted to just get to the bottom of my situation and figure out what my options are. We know a lot more about what our options are, where we're gonna go from here. I'm not exactly sure yet. I don't know exactly what our timeline is. Some days I feel like I'm in a rush to have a baby. I really wanna get on it. I'm excited about it. And other times I'm like, we got all the time in the world, you know? I appreciate you guys being here. If you subscribed, thank you so much. You are my people and I love you. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up. You can also find me on social media. It's LeighAnnSays everywhere. I love talking to you guys over there. And as always, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye everyone. I'm sweating over here talking about ovulation. It makes me sweat to talk about ovulation. Ew. There is a truck outside and I don't appreciate it. I think it's the recycling truck. It just got really dark. Spooky. What's the prognosis, doctor? What does prognosis even mean?